And we are live. Hello and welcome to the Transform Your Relationship Show. We have an incredible topic today. I'm Laura Rubinstein, and this is Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. Hi, Rhoberta.
Good morning, Laura. You know I'm in a mood today, so let's get on with this
We
topic.
are, and that's why we have kind of a hot topic here about being opportunistic. And when we notice people being opportunistic, and when it works and when it doesn't, and what we should notice, and how do we even notice if somebody's being opportunistic? Let's
Oh,
start with
our
that.
gut notices. You, you may not be able to identify it in words, but you go, oh, what happened there? And, it's positive and negative, as you mentioned. And those are things that we really need to talk about, I think, because opportunism means, oh, you see an opening and you step into it, and that's great, and it doesn't hurt anybody. And then there's opportunistic, which means that I jump in it and I take something away from everybody else, or I try to rob somebody of something and I just see an opening and I grab it for myself, right? As opposed to I open the door and I walk through it myself. Now, I know that doesn't sound like much of a distinction, but if it's like, here's an example. Here's what I call opportunistic. I have a friend. No, I have an acquaintance. Let's be clear about those things, right? I have an acquaintance who proudly told me that she figured out how to get business by going onto somebody else's Zoom calls and then having side conversations with the people during the call and getting them to be her clients. That's negatively opportunistic. That's saying, and I said to her, you can't do that. That's poaching. That person has done all that work to have those people follow her. And now you're proudly telling me that you're sitting there picking off prospects during her call. That's negatively opportunistic.
Yeah.
Positively,
Yeah, it's one thing to go there and be present and have people get to know you, but not you interrupting them in the flow of watching her Zoom call and distracting them from the content, which hurts her process. And but it's like what I wanted to just make a comment. It's when somebody doesn't consider the ramifications of their actions to others.
well, even if they do, and I pointed them out to her,
Hmm.
and she said, oh, she wouldn't care. And I said, did you ask her? Right?
Hello.
Are you being honest in this process? That's what I call it, being hip, honest in the process. Are you being honest in the process? Did you say, hey, I'm having side conversations with people and trying to sell them my program while you're talking? Do you mind? Oh, I'm sure she's going to go, Yahoo, go for it. No, right? That's negatively opportunistic. I see a door, I take it, even though it isn't mine, I decide that I will grab it and run with it, as opposed to being opportunistic in the sense that says, oh, hey, there's something that could really work. Maybe that's a unique thing. Let me tell Laura about it. Let's take advantage of that opening there that doesn't hurt anybody, as you said, has no negative ramifications, but oh, I see an opportunity. I see a growth opportunity. I see a business opportunity. Great. That's your mind working well and seeing possibilities. But opportunistic is, let me see how I can do the most damage and get the most out of something that maybe isn't mine to do.
Yeah, and maybe the thought is do the most damage is not there. It's like, and see how I can just benefit. And, I'm not, that can't possibly hurt somebody else. I mean, there's that innocence in there.
Yeah,
But the innocence doesn't make it right if you haven't really
it's not
thought it through.
innocent. It's
Well,
not innocent. I mean, it is a decision to ignore the fact that there is another side to what you're doing because you want what you want when you want it, as opposed to playing nicely with others. Right? And that just happens too much. I mean, haven't we all in our business life gone to a seminar that's going to teach us how to make a gazillion dollars, and you come away from the seminar going, ew, I think I need a shower.
hmm.
Like, I'm not going to do that. That is opportunistic in a really negative way. It's not fraught with possibilities. Like you could do all these things that would enhance your businesses. I've found a way to drive in there between things and annihilate everybody else and
Mm.
come up on top. And yeah, don't worry about the ethics. Don't worry about that. Just do this.
It's kind of like that phrase people say, like, ask for permission later, you know,
Yeah, yeah. You ask for
or
forgiveness,
apologize
not
later.
permission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that to me has that shower feeling over it. It's like, I know I'm doing something wrong and I'll just apologize for it later and that'll make it okay.
Right. And that's why I said at the beginning when you brought it up, I mean, it's that thing that you have a feeling about, but sometimes you can't even put words on it when it happens.
Right.
You know, haven't you ever had somebody ask you for something so outrageous that you want to go, who does that? Right? And then you're kind of caught in the moment, like, how do I respond to this? That's what hijackals do. They will
Right.
ask for something that is like so not theirs and such a big ask and way over the top in their favor. And they'll just ask. And then you're left with that feeling like, what happened? You know, am I being wrong because I don't want to answer that question or share that? And you don't really know what happened to you, but you were hit with a negative, opportunistic request. Like, tell me everything that you know so that I can do better than you. Okay. Right. Like,
You got to listen between the lines a lot of times to what people are really asking and saying. And do they have a pattern? It's really, you may not get it the first time, but if you've seen people asking you and asking you and asking you for things, and all of a sudden it feels like either you're being used or there's really no give back, or or they're doing this to multiple people and then it comes back to bite you somehow, or it feels like, I don't know if I always know when other people are being opportunistic, or maybe and I want to be able to see that better, and right off the bat. What
mhm.
would you say are the telltale signs that
Well, one big one is, oh, you know, oh, he's calling again. Ooh.
what is your visceral response to them? Okay, got it. I
Yeah,
thought you were
like,
really good taking a call there.
I think that's number one. I mean, you can tell. I mean, I finished my taxes. Yahoo! I'm in a mood. But you can tell you just have that visceral response, as you said, like, oh no, not now. Oh, maybe never. Oh, there it goes again. I mean, if any of
And they're
those
pulling
thoughts,
on your heartstrings, or that guilty place, or like you feel like you have to do it. And, those people are really good for practice on, saying no.
they're really good, and I hope that everybody will practice saying no, and remember that no is a complete sentence in that case. Like, no, I don't think so, or no, I don't have time for that, or well, I think you could find that information over here, and just and on your way, okay. Just
Yeah.
go on your
Thanks for
way.
the likes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
just like, no, thank you. You do it nicely. No, thank you.
Well, sometimes I've even said this, Laura. Somebody will ask me something outrageous, and they don't do it very often, but I have a couple of acquaintances who still like to. And I just look at them and say, "Why would you ever ask me that?" And like put the ball back in their court, because that's not what they're expecting. And what happens in our brain when you give something back that they're not expecting, it's not going down the train of conversation that they were hoping for. It
Mhm.
causes a disconnect in the brain. And for that moment, it disinhibits the neocortex. Like, I thought I had this calibrated, knew we were going. And the brain goes, whoops, what happened? And at that moment, you have a moment to change the subject. So I could say, like, oh, whatever would you ask me that question for? What are you doing on the weekend?
Change the subject.
Yep, I'm going to take charge of this conversation. We're going over there now.
Wow, that doesn't work for me. Can you tell me something else?
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe you
exactly.
can help me out on something.
Yeah,
You've never
exactly.
asked me those kind of questions again. That would be really helpful.
I have a
What?
friend who's negatively optimistic and downgrade, a colleague, an acquaintance, person who is negatively optimistic, and she's moving out on the edges of my life. And here's and she's a hijackal. And here's the thing. This is how you can know. I'll give you two examples. First of all, this particular person I have been, just simply not communicating with on purpose. And I got an email the other day that said, haven't heard from you in a long time. Hope you're well. Like as if the text messages and emails don't go in both directions. Like there's a subtle thing like you haven't done what you should have done and paid homage to me by writing or calling or doing something. I mean, there's an example that at that moment went, I think both of us can text. If you wanted to text me, it was quite possible for you to do that. There's that. And then the other day, I had this incredible experience. And this is a prime example of passive aggressive behavior if you've ever wanted one. I have a colleague who does some similar things that I do, except that she's a coach and doesn't have any training. She just has experience. And she's got some interesting things to say, and I enjoyed that. So we were having a little virtual coffee. And in the middle, the conversation was a little stilted. And in the middle, she kind of leaned in and she said, your hair is getting really long. Do you like that? And I said, yes, that's
Oh.
why I have it that way. And she said, oh, because she had that moment. You see, she thought was going to lead me down the path and I say, what's wrong? Don't you like it? Is there something wrong? Am I this person who's supposed to make you happy and wear my hair the way you want me to? But that's the ultimate passive aggression, that you don't, until you're really awake to it, you don't know what happened. Like, your hair is long. Do you like it? I, yeah, actually, I do. That's why I get up in the morning and do it this way. That's passive aggression, right?
Because
Uh,
they're really not saying what they think,
yeah,
and they
and
might.
instead of say, and then she went on to say, well, my hair needs cutting. It's even a little too long for my liking. Her hair is up to here somewhere. But that's the subtle nature of passive aggression, is that I insinuate there's something wrong with you, but I
Mm.
won't say directly. That's the passive aggression. I want to say, what she really wanted to say, in my opinion, I'm putting words in her mouth, is, I don't like it that you're doing so well. So I'm not going to talk about that. So I'm going to come in and say, yeah, I don't know about your hair.
You don't think
Right?
you just wanted to say, I don't like your hair this long? It doesn't, you know,
Oh, no, no, no.
wasn't
It's
about the hair. Is
way
that what you're
more
saying?
loaded than that.
I see. Okay.
Way more loaded. Like, we're not at that level. We're not girlfriends. We don't talk about hair. Right. So it was completely loaded. And I thought, okay, well, offload this one. Yep,
Well,
I like it.
Devin Rose here is saying you're spot on, Roberta. So, yeah,
Hi, Devin.
we can definitely, get better and better at like identifying the people who are being that boundary crossing and passive aggressive, and just like say no.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other show to talk about,
Passive
ways
aggression.
that people are passive aggressive with us and sneaky ways people are passive aggressive. But, going back to today's topic about opportunism, like, wow, there's lots of doors to walk through. There's lots of places that you can find an opening to do something differently. There's lots of ways you can have a conversation. You and I have had lots of conversations. We've been friends now for 18 years. We've had lots of conversations that created a little opening. Went, oh, wow, we never thought of that. Hey, there's a way to do that. That's opportunity. That's possibility.
Right.
But it's like, Laura, you're doing really well with that. Tell me everything that you did, because I want to do it too, and I want to do it better. So tell me. You need to tell me. And, oh, by the way, I won't pay you. Right? That's
And
opportunistic.
then I'm going to try and undermine you in
Exactly. And
some
then
way.
I'm going to go online and say, I thought of this.
Right.
So there are people in life who do that. And it's sad that they do that because they don't have a strong feeling that they are capable. So they poach and rob and undermine and things. And it's sad. You know, I'm laughing about it, but it's shadow laughter because it's nasty. But it's also sad because you can create things on your own. You can create opportunities and possibilities. You can open your mind to something and just sit with it for a while. That's why we talk about spending time sitting quietly. Is take the time to open your mind and your heart and just see what's there. You don't have to go and dig in somebody else's garden for your flowers.
It's amazing when you actually sit, the opportunities that come, that open
Yes.
themselves up to you. If you contemplate what you truly want, what your heart wants, and you don't have to feel so that scarcity to go out and, oh, I got to grab any opportunity I see, and even if it hurts somebody, and even if it feels icky, and even if I know I'm going to have to ask for forgiveness afterwards, it's like, no. What about contemplating if you are thinking in that way, like, I really don't want to hurt anybody else in this process. I really do want these things. I wonder how. And just sit there and allow for that process to work itself out and use your wisdom and develop that ability
Mhm.
to have opportunities find you, to be able to see the real opportunities, so you don't have to be opportunistic and feel like you have to grab at somebody else's for hard work basically and take
Well,
from it.
yeah, that's why I say it's so sad because every one of us has capabilities. Every one of us has a different perspective and perception on things. And it's in that perception difference and perspective difference and experience and education difference that we can see something that somebody else can't see or doesn't see at the moment. And those are our opportunities. We don't have to go and poach and rob and undermine and things. We don't have, and sure, go and pay somebody to learn what they learn, or grab a friend and teach them what you know because she'll teach you what she knows some other day. Whatever the level of your interaction is with somebody, but don't poach, don't grab and run with it and make and say it's your own. Don't take credit for other people's things. You know, I haven't looked lately, but I doubt that it happens anymore. I happened to find out that when I was writing a blog every day, that there was a person that I knew and thought I respected who was taking the daily blog, changing 10 words of it and putting it out as his own 2 weeks later, right? Like, come on, you're a creative guy. You've got thoughts and experience. You don't need to do that with my stuff, right?
Right.
But that's opportunistic. Like, how can I ride on somebody else's back and never pay for the ticket,
Hmm.
right? And we don't need to be doing that. We really don't need that. Believe in yourself. Believe that you have good ideas. Believe that you're creative. Believe that you have experience. Get rid of the negative thoughts and just allow yourself to blossom and believe that you can. Believe you have the seeds inside yourself to do this because you do.
And you're worthy. Like a lot of that comes from, I'm not worthy, so I have to scrounge or something, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And that's not necessary. You know, you're you. You have unique experiences. If you need more information, go gather it somewhere, learn it, put it into the hopper and see what it does for you. You know, I just realized how dating that is, you know, put it into the hopper. Uh, you know what that is? That's from the old days when we had sawdust cooking stoves.
Oh,
We
didn't
used to
know
put the
that.
sawdust
Heard
into the
this,
hopper. Yeah.
heard the phrase, used the phrase, haven't, I think it was adopted after the sawdust era there.
Oh, it's a very common phrase. But when I was a little girl, I was abused and neglected, and you know, had hijackal parents, and they owned a store, and I was petrified of the dark because that's when I was abused as a small child. And I remember, and I, I used to. I was just afraid of being alone, and I used to squish myself behind the stove, behind the hopper, and squish myself back there so that if anybody came in, they wouldn't know I was there. And I would spend hours just petrified against
Mm.
the wall
Wow.
at 6, 7 years old. So yes, I'm very familiar with the hopper. It was right there.
It's kind of a comfort for you in a sense.
It was keeping me safe, and that was very important to me. But you know, that aside, you have a lot of ideas, you have a lot of experience, and whether you're endeavoring to figure out a relationship issue or you're figuring out your business or your best next step, know that you have it within you and start there. Yes, go and gather training or ideas or read a book or do something, but just know that you can create and you can be successful and get rid of the negative messages that you may have. Last night I did my live stream, which I do every Monday night at 6 o'clock Pacific. And last night we were talking about lies that your hijackal parent told you about who you are and how they limit you.
Mm.
Right. And so you may have some limiting things in there that you don't even realize the messages that you got before you had language.
And that's on YouTube at For Relationship Help
It
channel.
is.
Great.
Yeah. And of course the show is up this morning, and ready for everybody to listen to the replay. But when people come to the real show, you'll hear in there that they, in the chat, I answer their questions. I read their questions and answer them, even if they're way off topic.
That's great. You
Yeah.
know, I'm so excited. Gave a big smile a little bit ago because you said, well, go out there and create. And right before you did that, I picked a card, and I wasn't looking. I was just blindly picking a card from my Feminine Power deck, right? Feminine Power cards. And the one that came up was create. And it's just so perfect for today. So if you want to take away something from today, be creative, get into your creative space. That's how you're going to find the opportunities. And the practice is do something you love right now.
Right, and we're doing something we love right now. And if you like the sound of those cards, go to femininepowercards.com
Thank
and
you.
have them on your altar, just like I do, so that I can have a little boost each day.
Yeah. And Devin Rose says she came in late, but appreciate the conversation. Have so many that make outrageous requests. And so that's a great response that we were talking about earlier. So,
Oh, I'm glad that was helpful, Devin. Certainly come on and join in. Come and join in on the live stream and contribute your comments there too.
yeah.
And
And we're
next week
glad you're here.
we're gonna talk about, on the live stream, we're going to add to last night's conversation by talking about how to get those parental messages out of your head. Yeah.
Oh, good. We'll follow up the week after with something else on being more positive and how to get to positivity or something like that. If you have a suggestion of what you'd like us to cover here on the Transform Your Relationships live show, please feel free to comment on our videos or send us a message through the messenger on Transform Your Relationships live page. It's been so fun as usual creating with you today, more about creating opportunities and being aware of people who are opportunistic and being able to respond to that. So yay, another great show, my dear.
Yep,
Thanks everyone
indeed.
for watching. Thank you for the hearts and the love. And we will be back in a couple of weeks for our next Transform Your Relationships live show. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye bye.